In a world still chasing economic justice, one voice rises to inspire change. From the streets to the boardrooms, from ideas to real action, Cornell Cruz Jr. invites you to listen, learn, and transform. Drawn from the people, the community, always present, always pushing forward. Together we build opportunity, we build trust, and we build a just economy for all. This is the Just Economy Project, where equity has a sound, and the future begins with you.
And welcome back to the Just Economy Podcast. I'm here with Yany St. Louis of the Win Women organization. And we're talking about investing, funding nonprofits and doing their side of the equation, nonprofits doing our side of the equation, and not just thinking we're on the receiving end. So one thing I want to bring up, something near and dear to my heart, here lately, is social impact investing. Mm-hmm. And one of the things my organization is going to do is work on building the ecosystem over the next year. With the amount of money that's moved to Florida and the low amount of income flight that's moving out of Florida due to affordability, in particular South Florida, Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. Let's talk about the influx of the money first. So Forbes just recently released their new billionaires list, and that's a world list. The list increased by 15% of billionaires in the world. In South Florida, Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County, 50 billionaires live here full time. 50. Their collective wealth is $867 billion. I said billion with a B. Not only that, that's just the billionaires. We're not talking about the multimillionaires. The guy who's got 999 million doesn't even count, right? So, but just think about that money that's flowing here. A lot of those folks have moved here. They're not organic to Florida. They've moved to Florida. The Florida Nonprofit Association put out a study early 2025 that interviewed folks who were not organic to Florida, that had moved to Florida. Of those folks who had moved to Florida, less than 30% gave to organizations in Florida. They give it home. Mm-hmm. They give wherever they came from, Chicago, New York, LA, wherever. They give it home, but they weren't giving here. I also think that part of that is our not a fault, but something they just don't know about us as well. So I'm really on this social impact investing kick. I see an organization in Philly is already doing it, an organization in Atlanta is doing it, and they're connecting organizations directly with those folks who not only write checks but also want to volunteer. I never want to leave volunteering out of it because that's an important part of it as well. And a lot of things that you talked about in our first segment, I think carries over into this. One of the things that I want to do is prep these organizations on how to have those conversations. And you talked about it earlier, being inspirational, not desperate. But what do you think about social impact investing as far as our organizations are concerned, at least from the private sector? I'm talking about from individuals.
So I will say that the future is collaboration, and specifically as it relates to social impact investing, it's something that we've been studying it in our organization for more than 10 years because it existed for a long time, and the Northeast has it pretty down-packed. I will say that social impact investing comes with you being bold enough to put the outcome numbers on the table. That's what it comes.
Okay, hold on a second. What do you mean by the outcome numbers on the table?
I'll tell you exactly what I mean. So when you are putting out there, let's say you want to fund one of your programs or what have you, part of social impact investing, it's a combination of things. It's saying, I will be running this program and we will impact essentially, let's say, 10,000 students. And you can't say just broadly, it's like, I want to impact 10,000 students. Where, for example, Northeastern social impact investing and how that works is there are mechanisms in place of like, okay, these are the milestones essentially, and our funding will unlock to the next level of, let's say we have an agreement, let's say for $1 million, but you got to hit these milestones in order for the rest of the funding to unlock. So you have to be ready for that. That's what I mean. You got to be able to be ready to actually guarantee that. Unless you don't want, like, for example, and you won't get the funding if you don't hit those metrics.
Sure.
So
well,
these
people are careful with their money. That's why they're billionaires.
And that's the part. And so we have to be, it's not like a regular grantor where you can go back to and say, well, actually we evaluated it and it doesn't make sense. No. This is very much like this is like Shark Tank in a way. And you have, Mark Cuban and anybody else in front of you.
It's an interesting way to put it.
Right? But you got to think about it and then say, I'm going to give you, you're out there pitching for 200K, what have you. And these are the milestones. These are the things that are going to hit before my next investment in whatever the funds are, right? So it's a little bit different philanthropy. I truly love it because I think it holds nonprofits sometimes to another level and stake, and you can unlock pretty big dollars from it. My only thought about it is I truly believe that social impact investing should be based out of trust-based philanthropy, meaning
Agreed.
Let the nonprofits do what they're best at.
Agreed.
And you have, but in order to get trust, there has to be a level of, you have to showcase proof, right? Like there's levels of relationship building to build trust. I will tell you, and for the record, I do not stand for all these hoops you have to jump through to get $10,000. I
totally agree.
I really don't think that that's the way. I think that I love there's two phases of social impact investing. There's the phase that I mentioned about milestones and unlocking bigger dollars. There's also where organizations are coming down and saying, we're going to fix housing. We're going to fix education. We're going to fix transit, whatever it is. And they are saying our dollars are going towards organizations that are doing this work and that it's moving this needle forward. And so I love that part because I think it's actually fixing what, let's say, Miami's true ecosystem problems are, right? Nobody else is going to continue to move down here if we don't have those things in place.
Exactly. As you so eloquently stated, we have issues down here that are affecting, in particular, low to moderate income. Mm-hmm. The higher income are moving here in droves, mm-hmm. but those folks and I keep saying this, is that those folks who move here who have all this money aren't cutting their own lawns. They're not doing their own nails.
No.
They're not doing their own dry cleaning. They're not cleaning their own homes. They're not washing their own cars. They're not doing that. Mm-hmm. Those folks who are low to moderate income or middle income, who have those businesses, those are the folks who are doing it. We cannot afford to lose them.
Right.
So that's why I think we got to impress upon mm-hmm. these folks who we want to be potential social impact investors. We got to talk about the outcomes, what we got to change, mm-hmm. and fulfill that promise that we're going to actually do it. I think that's a preparation for it that we got to do as I try to move forward with this plan. That's something we got to do, and I really would love your help in how we can prepare the organizations to understand how they approach it. Mm-hmm. How they're going to keep their promises.
Right.
Let's not overpromise and underdeliver.
That's exactly right.
By no stretch of the imagination. That has to be our mantra. That's something we cannot do, just according to what you said, right?
100%. I think also, I would love to bring up different examples of just not only major funders that are coming into play. Please. I'll tell you that there are incredible gems in our own community. Like, for example, you have Kush Hospitality. I don't know if you know the restaurant group that has a number of different locations, locale, all over the city. And they have decided that their venue down here in Wynwood, they're going to build affordable housing for their own employees and restaurant tiers to be able to invest in their own community, right? And so I think about that. We always think about these billionaires, which are great. I think everybody's like, they ask me all the time, Yany, where do we find them? What rooms are they in? Because I'm going to tell you something, Cornell, they're not coming to anybody's gala. They're really not. That's not what they're gathering in small places.
Sure.
Right. I don't know if you're a fan of musical theater. I love Hamilton, and you got to be in the room where it happens. It's a small room of people, and I will tell you, if you're just a strategy for that, look at the private school donors, because if they have their kids there, the billionaires are investing in the schools, right? That's number one. But don't sleep on not just getting the billionaires. That's actually a longer term investment, right? Of time, energy, effort, right? Everybody's like, why is Ken Griffith not giving to my organization? And I'm just like, you need to give it time. You have to also.
And he just got here.
He just got here, in the community, and you got to build rapport. What's something that is of interest to Ken Griffith and the Citadel?
It was easy for him to write a check to Miami-Dade County Schools because, it's Miami-Dade County Schools.
Right, and that's the part. But then look at local investment that is happening, like small businesses, like some of these smaller hospitality groups. These are incredible players in the community that people often sleep on because they're thinking to themselves, oh no, I'm going after the bigger fish. I go, but you have such local individuals here that are also hidden gems that people are not cultivating.
Yeah, I want to include all those. I'm not just I'm going to just include the billionaires and multimillionaires. I want to include all those folks. But I think, again, it starts with building a relationship, and I honestly believe that we have to teach the organizations how to build that relationship. It goes back to what you said, especially about the small donors and building that pipeline. But being able to apply those same principles when we get in those rooms, because I'm fully confident that I'm going to be able to get you in those rooms.
Right.
It's just a matter of I want you to be prepared before you get in that room, though.
100%.
Yeah, and be able to answer the questions that you need to answer. And I want to make it as informal as possible.
Absolutely.
I think that, like you said, Yany just said something very, very important. I go to galas and dinners and stuff. I'm sure she does all the time. And you know who's there? The sponsors are there. The community at large is there. And the organization who's throwing it is there. Not one billionaire has ever been in the room.
And the sponsors, not for nothing. I tell you this because we, as an organization, as a business, are the ones that normally are helping nonprofits with fundraising and things, right? And I'll tell you, the sponsors sometimes don't even want to fill their tables. So they're giving out their tickets to random people that don't know the organization. So I say this because that's a whole other topic.
No, but you're totally right. Believe me, because I've said that those tables were folks who had no clue.
Correct.
No clue, and don't even know what's going on in the community, So I've been there, done that, got a T-shirt. So Yany has really talked about some interesting things, and I definitely plan to work with them as we try to build this ecosystem. Again, Yany puts on some great workshops and things, and getting us in touch with some of those folks who fund and what they're looking for or not looking for. And she's going to give you her information in a minute. But I want to thank you so much, Yany, for being a part of this. This has been truly enlightening. I inspiration is my watchword now as we talk to the nonprofits and preparing them to have these meetings. It's being able to talk from a place of inspiration and not desperation. That's probably the only way I remember it. So I got to rhyme it, unfortunately.
I love it.
But Yany, please give us your contact information and your organization.
Absolutely. So if you are in the market to have an organization like ours help you with capacity and fundraising and data storytelling and even an AI optimization, you can look us up at thewinwoman.com. That's thewinwoman.com. And those executive forums that Cornell mentioned are free to our nonprofit community members. We host them on a monthly basis. And there's a form on our website with the executive forums that you can sign up for.
Thank you, Yany. So one last question
that
I always ask everybody. You almost got away.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
So if I gave you all the power in the world, what would you do with it?
The first thing that comes to mind, and because I am an educator by background, is that I completely would transform the educational system. For me, that's just, I'm a professor, and my background, I'm not running an organization, I teach. And I think that for me, it's a matter of education is an equalizer. And I feel that right now there's just limitations to access. And you see the huge gap disparity that exists in private schools and charter schools and public schools, and kids are not starting at the same start line. And so I would be, if I had the power in the world, my first task would be to completely provide full access and full opportunity for kids to study at that same level, right? With the same level of tech, the same level of teachers that want to be able to pay the teachers more, right? Like there's a whole infrastructure that I would incentivize and do if I had the power, right? I would completely overhaul the system.
Well, thank you so much, Yany. We've had, Yany is our 35th or 36th guest that we've had on the Just Economy podcast over the years. And I ask everyone that same question, and everybody has a different answer. And I'm so glad that everybody has a different answer, because everybody looks at the world a little differently. And just think if we could employ those 36 different answers, where we'd be right now. So again, we want to thank Yany San Luis of the Win Woman to come in and be a part of our Just Economy podcast. If you want to be a guest on the Just Economy podcast, you want to come on and talk about your organization, we try to showcase nonprofit organizations and for-profit organizations that are in the nonprofit world, providing services and so on. If you want to be a guest on, please contact me at Cornell at reinvestmentalliance.org. Again, that's Cornell with 2 L's at reinvestmentalliance.org. And thank you again, Yany. Thank you so much. It's very insightful. Inspiration. We got to inspire money. Let's inspire money. Thank you again, Yany. And we'll see you next time on the Just Economy podcast.
In a world still chasing economic justice, one voice rises to inspire change, from the streets to the boardrooms, from ideas to real action. Cornell Cruz Jr. invites you to listen, learn, and transform. Come from the people, the community, always present, always pushing forward. Together we build opportunity, we build trust, and we build a just economy for all. This is the Just Economy podcast, where equity has a sound, and the future begins with you.